Welcome in, everyone, to a deep dive you won't soon forget. We're going all in on SEO today.
SEO?
Yeah. Specifically, we're taking apart this book, Demystifying the Google Algorithm. And let me tell you, even for a podcast junkie like me, this is good stuff. You sent over some killer excerpts.
Really?
Really insightful.
Yeah, it's a wild world, and it changes constantly, that's for sure.
It does.
But when you get down to it,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about logic, figuring out how these search engines, especially Google,
Oh, yes.
how they think.
That's what gets me so jazzed about this. It's like peeking behind the curtain, right? Like Wizard of Oz stuff.
Yeah.
And this book doesn't mess around. It goes all the way back to like the Wild West days of SEO, which our author actually lived through.
Oh, wow.
I know. Remember when websites used to just cram keywords into the code like crazy?
Oh, absolutely. Picture this. Late 90s, you've got your website, right? Let's say it's about, I don't know, web design.
Okay.
You'd have web design specialist, best website designers, just like over and over.
Just like hammered in there.
Sometimes over 20 times.
It's hilarious looking back on it, but I could see how it worked for a while there.
It did.
So how did Google evolve past that? Like, how'd they crack down?
Well, the algorithms, they got a whole lot smarter.
Okay.
They started to prioritize content that was actually useful, stuff that humans would want to read, not just this jumble of keywords.
No more just trying to game the system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where rank brain comes in.
Okay, rank brain. This is one of Google's big ones, right?
Huge. This is where things really changed. Rank brain uses machine learning to understand what you mean when you type something in.
So it's not just looking for a word. It's got like the intent.
The intent is key. Like if you search best apple pie recipe,
Yeah.
Rank brain gets that you're not looking for just any apple pie recipe.
You want the best one.
You want one that's top rated, probably from a source you trust, and is going to lead to like the most delicious pie possible.
So Google's basically thinking like a human baker now.
Basically, it's trying to understand you on a deeper level.
Wow. Okay, so we've gone from keyword stuffing to Google practically reading your mind.
Right.
Where does that leave website creators? It seems like things just got a lot harder.
It was a shift, definitely. You couldn't just trick the system anymore. You had to actually understand your audience.
Both the humans and the algorithm.
Exactly. And give them something worthwhile.
And that's where it gets really interesting, right? Because now it's not just about gaming the system.
It's about genuine value.
Yeah.
It's about creating something informative, engaging, maybe even fun to read.
Because now Google sees itself as a user,
Just like you.
and that changes everything.
Yeah,
Okay, so Google's gotten a whole lot smarter over the years.
definitely.
But what about keywords? I mean, this book still talks about them a lot.
Oh, they're definitely still relevant.
Okay.
But it's less about cramming them in and more about using them strategically.
So how do we do that?
Think of it like a keyword ecosystem.
Instead of just like a zoo.
Exactly. It's about the overall keyword frequency, across your whole site.
Yeah.
Like the book uses insurance as an example. If you're an insurance company, you're not just going to have insurance on your homepage.
Right.
You'd have different pages, right?
Yeah.
Car insurance, home insurance, life insurance, each using those terms naturally.
So each page kind of builds on that main theme.
Exactly. The author calls it a cluster. Google, it sees those connections across your whole site.
Not just like on that one page.
Right, exactly.
Huh. See, I'm starting to think I might have overdone it on the keywords on my own website.
Yeah, it's easy to do.
It is. So how do you even analyze that?
Oh, there are some great tools out there, actually.
Oh, okay. Maybe we can like link those in the show notes or something.
Definitely, yeah. But before we go down that rabbit hole,
Right.
let's talk about structuring those pages themselves.
Yeah.
This book really reminded me of that Compare the Market website we talked about.
That car insurance one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always amazed by how simple it is, but it's always at the top of the search results.
That's because they've nailed the structure.
And the content's clear, easy to read.
Exactly. And this book, it breaks down those nitty-gritty details.
Yeah, there's some seriously useful stuff in here.
It all starts with that H1 tag.
The main headline.
Yep. Tells Google, tells readers what the page is all about. Then you've got your meta descriptions, those little snippets that show up in the search result.
Oh, right. Like a little ad for your page.
Exactly. Got to make them count because that often determines if someone's even going to click.
So important.
And then internal linking.
Oh, yeah. Connecting your page.
Making it make sense for humans and for Google's crawlers.
Those crawlers still trip me out, man. It's like, little robots reading your website.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But it helps them understand your site,
Okay.
how it all fits together.
It's like you're building pathways through your website.
Exactly. Guiding those crawlers, guiding your visitors.
Through what they're looking for.
But here's the thing. Even with amazing content, perfect structure, there's one more thing that's non-negotiable these days.
What's that?
Speed.
Oh, yeah. This book was very clear. Content is king, speed is queen.
For real.
But why is speed so important?
I mean, think about it. People are busy, impatient.
I want things instantly.
Exactly. Google knows that. Page speed is a huge ranking factor.
So if your site's slow, Google's like, next. And it's not just about having, like, a fancy server, right?
No, it's about optimizing images, caching, all that behind-the-scenes stuff.
The stuff most people don't even think about.
It makes all the difference.
Speaking of things people don't always think about, mobile.
Oh, right. The elephant in the room, or the smartphone in everyone's pocket, I guess.
It's a mobile world. We're just living in it.
And Google knows that, which is why...
They're looking at your site on mobile first.
Yeah, if your site looks great on a desktop, but it's a mess on a phone...
You're in trouble.
Big trouble. Responsive design, it's not optional anymore.
It's like the bare minimum.
Exactly. Everyone's got to have a good experience no matter how they're browsing.
Okay, so we've got the fundamentals, the nuts and bolts.
Right.
How do we actually use all this?
Yeah, how do we get practical?
That's the good news, this book.
It's packed with advice.
It is. Real-world tactics we can use, so
Dipped into it.
let's do it. Okay, so we've covered keywords. We've talked about building a site that Google loves, and we know mobile is king.
Right.
But how does this all translate into, like, actual results? This book is full of examples.
Oh, yeah.
And one that really jumped out at me was the author himself. He managed to totally own this keyword category,
Okay.
live streaming, just by using a smart content strategy.
It's a classic example of becoming the expert, you know? Like, he created so much high-quality content around live streaming.
Blogs, guides, everything.
He was basically sending Google a signal.
Like, this is the place to be for live streaming info.
Exactly. It wasn't just about using the keyword a bunch. It was the depth, the quality.
He was giving real value.
Exactly. He wasn't just saying what everyone else was, you know?
Right.
He was bringing something new to the table.
So, okay, that makes sense for a guy writing a whole book on SEO.
Sure.
But what about, like, a regular small business? Can they do this too?
Absolutely. He gives this great example of a hair salon, right?
Okay.
Instead of just listing services and prices, they could create content.
About hair care, styling tips.
Exactly. Become a resource for their local area.
So smart. So they're niching down, creating that hyper-relevant stuff.
And then using local SEO on top of that.
Right. Mentioning their town, their neighborhood.
It all ties together.
Okay, so we've got content strategy, we've got local SEO. Anything else businesses should be thinking about?
Oh, don't underestimate storytelling.
Storytelling.
Yeah. Even if you're in a really technical field.
I mean, it's got to be authentic, right?
Exactly. The author talks about this one client. They were so resistant to SEO at first.
Really?
They thought it meant sounding like a robot, you know?
I can see that.
All keywords, no personality.
Yeah.
But he got them to focus on what made them different.
Which was?
They had this whole thinking bigger philosophy.
Okay.
Wasn't even about keywords at first.
Interesting.
But they leaned into it, you know? Told their story, their value. They resonated. They got more customers. And Google noticed.
Because they stood out.
They found that sweet spot where good SEO meets, like, your real voice.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've covered a ton today.
We have.
From the Wild West of SEO all the way to, like, the cutting edge.
And hopefully everyone listening is feeling ready to put it all into practice.
I know I am.
Yeah.
But this is just the beginning, right? It's a journey.
Exactly. Stay curious, experiment, and never stop thinking about how you can help your audience.
Couldn't have said it better myself. But before we go, one last thing to ponder.
Okay.
This book mentions that Google's logic, as advanced as it is, it's still finite. What if, in the future, SEO involved more human judgment?
Oh, wow.
Like, imagine AI flags the promising sites, and then real people evaluate them.
For quality, for usefulness.
Would that change how you approach your online presence? Something to think about. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive into SEO, but keep exploring, keep experimenting, and we'll catch you next time for another fascinating journey into the world of knowledge.